Good morning, everyone. My name is Rabbi Lesser, Director of Pastoral Care here at Gurwin, Jewish Nursing and Rehab. I hope everyone is doing well. We are continuing our Oneg Shabbat series this week in the summertime, as we hope as many people could follow the Oneg Shabbat as possible. We know not everyone could always make it every week to our in-person Oneg Shabbat. So this way, you'll still be able to hear and celebrate Shabbat with all of us every morning, Friday morning, every week at 10:30 a.m. We will begin our Oneg Shabbat the way we always begin, with the singing of a song, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem is a song which is customarily sang at the beginning Friday night as we usher in the Shabbat. It speaks about the angels coming to visit us, blessing us, and wishing us a good week as we head into Shabbat, which is the beginning of the week. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashares, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Mahalchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashares, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. B'lachem l'shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. B'lachem l'shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Achuni l'shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Achuni l'shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeichem l'shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeichem l'shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This week's weekly portion, Parshat B'halotcha, deals with the lighting of the menorah in the temple. We are familiar with the menorah from Hanukkah, where we light our candles, but really the first menorah, the first candelabra, was in the temple. It was a little bit different than our candelabra and served a different purpose. When we light the menorah on Hanukkah, we celebrate the victory of the Jewish people and the miracle of the oil. But in truth, the lighting of the candles in the temple was very different. There was a special candle in the middle. It was a 7-branched menorah, and there were 3 candles to the right, 3 to the left. And the middle candle was always lit. Miraculously, that light would always be there. And the other candles would sway towards and lean towards that middle candle, representing the center, representing God, which is one. And the candles in the temple represent wisdom, and the wisdom of God in particular. And the reason why that candle was so important was lit by the high priest, or the other candles, and the center candle was always lit was to show that all the wisdoms in the world, all the knowledge in the world, We always have to remember everything always comes back to God. God created the world. God created all this wisdom. And as long as we remember that God is in the picture and God is always here, we can never go wrong. It doesn't matter what you study, what you like to read, but as long as we truly remember that everything circles back to God in the middle, in the center of everything, and the high priest is the one whose job is to light that candle, we'll all be in a good place. Because when God's on our mind, we can never go wrong. Now with the singing of L'Chadodi, the song that we sing also Friday nights, talking about the beauty of Shabbat, the Shabbat queen as it's referenced to, as he comes into our homes and our synagogues each week. L'Chadodi l'kras kala p'nei Shabbos nekabela. L'Chadodi l'kras kala p'nei Shabbos nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad hishmiyahanu kel hamyuchad Hashem echad u'shmaho echad Shemo seferes v'lezila lechad hodi l'kras kala P'nei Shabbos nekabela L'kra Shabbos l'chuven elcha Ki mekor haveracha Meirosh mikedem nesucha Tov ma'aseh b'machshavat chila L'cha dehodi l'kras kala P'nei Shabbos nekabela Migdash melech ir melucha Kumitzi mitoch ha'afecha Rav lach sheves yemek ha'bacha V'hu yachamol alayechem la lecha dodi L'kras kala P'nei Shabbos nekabela Hisnari me'afar kumi Livshi bigdei sefer tehechami Al yad ben yishai beis halachmi Karva el nafshi geyala Lecha dodi L'kras kala P'nei Shabbos nekabela Hisariri Ki vahareko miyari Ori, shir dameri, kavod Hashem alayich nigla, lecha dehodi l'kras kala, P'nei Shabbos nekabela, lo se v'oshi v'lo sikami, ma tishlochachi u'matami, v'hach yachsu, Ani yehami v'nivnesa ha'ir al tila Lecha dehodi l'kras kala P'nei Shabbos nekabela V'hayu l'mshisa shahos hayich V'rachaku kol nevahalayich Yasis halayich en lo kayich Kim soizcha zana kala lecha dodi l'kras kala P'nei Shabbos nekabela Yamin u'smal tihrotzi Iyas Hashem tahariti Al yad ben yishai beis halachmi Karva el nafshi gehala lecha dodi l'kras kala P'nei Shabbos nekabela Bawi b'shalom atares ba'ala Gambirina uvitzahala Tochem unei am segula Bawi kala Dehodi l'kras kala P'nei Shabbos nekabela. The end of this week's portion, Parshas Balotcha, says a very unusual story about Moshe Rabbeinu, and his great brother Aaron, and his great sister Miriam. Moses, we know, was the prophet closest to God, and therefore he always thought of God every time. And his brother Aaron and sister Miriam, at one point in time, they said something about Moses, their brother, which wasn't necessarily something that was bad, but they made comment to him how Moses is always talking with God, and it could be viewed possibly, in the slightest sense, a little bit in a derogatory way. Maybe Moshe is greater than us, whatever the case may be. And they were punished very severely with leprosy. The first time we find the punishment of leprosy in the Torah, and they had to leave the camp, and the whole camp waited for 7 days until the leprosy healed. And many of the commentators asked questions that, Aaron and Miriam are Moshe's loving brother and sister. They didn't mean any harm when they spoke bad about him. They didn't necessarily even say anything so negative about their brother. They just made a comment about him. Why are they punished so harshly? There are many answers to this. One answer being that we have to be careful what we speak about. What we may think may be something which is sublime, nothing too important or significant, but somebody else who hears it may think differently. And more than that, really the truth what the Torah is telling us is a person really should never speak about anybody else in any situation. Because even if I have nice things to say about someone, certainly you could tell somebody nice things, you could praise somebody to somebody else, but there's a very thin line when a conversation goes from good to bad. And we have to be very, very careful of this. And when sometimes we start out, we want to say something positive to somebody else, and then maybe that other person doesn't have the same impression as we do, and they turn the conversation in a negative light. And that's what we have to be careful about, because the worst thing we could do is to speak badly, poorly about somebody else. Besides the fact that they're another human being, but it's a bad habit to get into. It's bad character traits. We wouldn't want anybody speaking bad about us, and therefore we should treat people the same way we would want to be treated. And that's why the Torah goes into great detail. That's why the punishment is so harsh. They didn't really do anything wrong, but the lesson is how careful we all have to be, making sure not to make anybody else feel bad in their own eyes, in the eyes of others. Be extra careful for unity. And as long as everyone gets together, only great things will happen. We now end on Shabbat singing the song Adon Olam, which talks about the greatness of God and our trust in God through every day and everything that comes our way in life. Adon Olam Asher Malach V'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Li'es Nasa B'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kechlos HaKol Levahado Yimloch Nahora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yiyeh B'sifara V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni V'hamshila L'hachbira V'li Reishis V'li Sachlis V'lo Ha'oz V'hamisra V'hu Keli V'chai Goali V'tor Chavli V'yez Nasa V'hu Nisi Umanosli V'nas Kosi V'yom Ekra V'yahado Avkid Ruchi V'yez Ishon V'yahira V'yem Ruchi G'v'yasi Hado Shemli V'lo Ira. Wish everyone a happy and healthy Shabbat, a great weekend, and we'll see everybody next week.